Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Velvet Cast.
Yay!
Before we get started on today's very unique episode of the Velvet Cast, I want to give a quick shout out to Hana Wabbit, channel artist and super cool rock star friend, Hanu is working on a fanzine for Kanji X Naoto. You can totally get more details on her Tumblr page and all that, and it should be coming out within the next couple months or so.
The best details... ship in Persona.
Yeah, Kanji Naoto. Yeah,
Says the person who's only watched the Persona anime.
The anime's good. The anime's solid.
I really like the anime, but I feel like an outsider because I actually haven't played the games.
Oh, dude, it's fine. The anime is like an incredibly solid piece. It covers like.
I'm not a real fan.
No, don't. You are a real fan.
I like Rise Kujikawa better. Now you can shit on me.
No, I need to finish the plug. I need to finish giving Hanu her credit. Hanu has done channel art on the channel. She's done thumbnail art for us, and she's also been super supportive and an awesome friend. Even when we're both super busy. So click the link down below, go visit her page, go give her a follow if you like the ship. And even if you don't like the ship, she is an awesome artist to begin with. So yeah. Now on to the carnage. So as you can very clearly tell, it is only me and Josh here in the Velvet Room tonight, which means only one thing. It's time to start punching each other in the mental face. So,
what do you mean, Mitchell?
So what do you think today's subject is, Josh? What do you think?
Look at all these things that I've got on my Trello. That I had a really boring week, so I don't have anything on my Trello. So tell me, what are we doing to amend this?
Oh man, you know what I did this week, Josh? I read bunches of comics.
But comics suck.
I'm just surrounded by Marvel comics everywhere. There's so many comics, though. There's so many comics. Wait, Josh, what is that dumpster that you're living in? What is it filled with?
It's my babies.
Please tell them. Babies. I was about to say, please continue that thought. Don't give them the impression that you just are in a dumpster full of babies.
I was totally being serious here.
Oh no, it's your manga babies. Would you say that you're a fan of manga?
Manga is my waifu personified.
Oh no, but Josh.
These
comics
dusky gray pages.
But Josh, my colorful comic pages are my waifu. Does this mean we have to have a waifu war?
Yes, your waifu is trash.
Your waifu is trash.
Oh, how dare
God,
you insult my
this feels so stupid.
But it's good stupid. Now let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going. Alright, so you know what makes your fucking waifu complete garbage? All the same song anime protagonists and manga protagonists. Hi, I'm Naruto Uzumaki and I want to be the Hokage. Hi, I'm One Piece's Luffy and I want to be the king of the pirates. I'm
Ichigo. I don't know. I don't have a desire. So, okay, to rebut that, there is a clear difference between, a Naruto Uzumaki or a Luffy and shit tier Ichigo and, fucking Sword Art Online Kirito. Because Ichigo and Kirito do not have personalities.
What? What? You shook my world asunder! What?
Holy shit! But I would say that the caricatures that are a lot of anime protagonists are one of the primary strengths of the medium, I guess. Where a lot of them are supposed to be the larger than life, sort of, at least in shonen anime and manga, where they're supposed to be the larger than life sort of projections of like what one would want to be. And you can either want to be, you know, like Kirito or Ichigo, because you have no personality, you're uninteresting, and you just want like hot girls like fawn all over you. Or you can, you know, want to be somebody who grows and like becomes a person eventually.
Still though, you have Eren Yeager though. Eren Yeager.
Hey man.
You know what though? I guess I also have
Eren Yeager is not a person.
Eren Yeager's not a person. Oh.
Eren Yeager's
really?
not a character.
Oh man.
You're reading Shingeki no Kyojin wrong.
God damn it. Oh, I must be. That
of course.
Must be the problem.
You expect him to be a character? God.
Man.
He exists to be Deus Ex Machina.
God.
Which is totally a legit way to tell a story, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, what about your comics? Every character is pretty much Doctor Strange, being like a Tony Stark cosplayer in like a bathrobe.
All right. First of all, fuck you. That was, you took that straight from my biggest problem with Doctor Strange.
Oh, he even admits it.
No. Okay, all right. Look, I will admit this right now. When it comes, especially to Marvel, when it comes to heroes and their origin stories, the very obvious problem would be the direct comparison between Doctor Strange and Tony Stark. But from what I've read, they're working really hard to make new and different heroes. Kamala Khan is one of those ones that I've been following recently. She's the new Miss Marvel. And what a fantastic Miss Marvel she is. Like, she's a relatable 16-year-old who is, you know, having problems dealing with like how people perceive her culture, wanting to be normal and that sort of thing. And now she gets to be a superhero. And that's really cool, you know? It's a really cool twist on stuff. Where I'm sorry, I probably should have like explained a bit more. Kamala Khan is Pakistani American. There we go. And she's also a Muslim, and you know she has to deal with the struggles of being judged on that basis and everything. And you know, and the comic is really steeped in certain aspects of her culture, and like it does a great job of explaining some things, and it's just a really good read. Maybe back in the 1950s, 1960s, you had a lot of hero origins that were very same song. But I like to imagine nowadays it's a little different. They are actively trying to reinvent characters, to redo their origin stories, I guess that's what makes Marvel, comics in general, really interesting, is like they get these opportunities to revamp their continuity and to revamp everything, you know? So like, yes, Doctor Strange and Tony Stark are very same song, and yes, certain heroes will have similar backstories, but at the end of the day, it's everyone has their origin point, but what they do with it makes them really interesting. Just like Tony and just like Doctor Strange, two heroes that may be similar based on their origins, but they kind of go in different directions with how they interpret what their bigger roles are. But then again,
you know, I think the future issues of Miss Marvel will be pretty interesting.
Oh my god, dude, that, like, I know that we're in the middle of our joke argument, but, like, holy shit, I'm actually kind of, like, I'm concerned, honestly. If anything, I can see it being a really good opportunity for, like, social commentary, but I wonder if there are certain comics that will do that, for social commentary, and I'm assuming there's good manga that also do this, too, but, like...
the X-Men are supposed to be, like, you know, stand-ins for, like, gay culture, were they not?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like they're supposed to represent like any oppressed people, and it's steeped in like that angst and that oppression and that sort of thing for the X-Men. But one of the things that just came to mind was like there's an issue of Spider-Gwen where Captain America has to fight MODOK, and MODOK is Donald Trump, and he's this giant head with blonde shit hair, who, like with the tiniest baby hands and the babyest legs, and and he's like, I gotta make America.
But his hands are huge, man.
He has to Photoshop his hand. He's the real comic villain. The Palpatine of our universe. God. Anyways, yeah, but like I think comics sometimes can also be really interesting. A really interesting window into like social economic not social economic problems, social commentary. So like it also makes for some really interesting like changes for heroes and stuff like that, and especially with the all new, all different run of comics for Marvel right now, where you have the new Thor, you have the new Miss Marvel, you have the new Ironheart, and all of those characters. Like there's a lot of more diversity nowadays, and there's a lot more variety of heroes, which makes things interesting, and you get to see things through their perspective and how they're judged and how they handle these judgments and such. So, what about manga though?
No, what about manga?
Huh. Yeah. Do you guys also have social commentary issues?
We totally have social commentary, but it's not in anything that's popular.
What about Gintama? Doesn't Gintama have something?
You see, I haven't read Gintama, so fuck you. I need to read it.
Oh no, it's really good.
I keep hearing it's good.
It's really solid. It's very solid.
Now you're sucking manga's dick now.
Oh no! Oh no! I admitted
I tricked you.
Oh yeah, you don't know. It was all part of your secret plan.
Exactly.
Your secret shitty plan to like get me to say that I also read manga.
Indeed.
No, I guess I lost this competition. I guess it's the
end of the
video now. Yeah, no.
Let's end it here. Yeah.
You know what? You know what makes your waifu trash though?
Oh.
What the hell is up with your selection of villains?
I mean, Dio is a good selection.
But like they're all like villain of the week kind of stuff I've noticed in like manga and stuff. Like if a great example is in Bakuman when they're talking about like, oh shit, when if this villain gets stale, we can just replace them with another villain. like that we'll just have a bigger, badder guy. Goku will always have a bigger, badder guy who has no real character development or feelings or emotions to fight. Like he's just a big buff guy he has to fight, and Goku's like, I can get stronger, and he does and wins. So
I mean, granted, like sure, if a series feels lazy, then they can do that way. I mean, Bleach did it for like fucking 500 like chapters or something, so clearly it works. God. Don't diverge from the template if you can do it. I don't know how long Bleach went before it got canceled. Probably reached 600. That's depressing. How many series died for Bleach?
Katekyo Hitman Reborn.
That's
the one that's always on the top of my head.
2009. Died for your sins. Takubo, if you're listening to this, fuck you.
You sick fuck.
But, I mean, manga has plenty of great villains. That stand up there in, like, the pantheon of, like, greatest villains of all time. If you go read, like, Monster or, like, 20th Century Boys by Naoki Urasawa, they have some of, like, the most ominous and just overbearing villains, like Johan or Friend. And of course there's Dio. You can't escape from him in this day and age where David Productions is making fucking JoJo's.
Oh no, you're right. Despite being kind of a one-dimension villain, he's also super fucking amazing. Well,
I mean, he's mythic.
Hang on. I'm taking a time out for a second. He can be if you really analyze his character, he is like a really interesting villain, especially.
I mean, if you really dig and you go into like, oh yeah, so he starts drinking right before he gets transformed into a fucking vampire.
Well, vampire. I was gonna say like what enables him to have his attitude, like his attitude towards the rich and his attitude towards everything, He's an incredibly intelligent person in a time where being smart but being born poor wasn't enough to make you rich, or wasn't enough to like move you up it was really incredibly hard to move up in the class system, and he was just born in the wrong time period. I feel like he's incredibly selfish and such, but it's because everyone disrespects him, and like,
I mean, that's how it is in real life a bit too.
Yeah, but
like sometimes you just can't be like the hero.
Like part 7 does a really good job of addressing like some of these issues, like in terms of like revisiting a revised version of Dio's backstory, and it's actually like really interesting how they handle it for Diego. Time back in though, yeah, but besides that though, everyone else sucks.
I mean, I won't talk to you until you read Berserk and get back to me.
A series I actually need to check out.
Oh, Berserk's totally great. Like, you know, time out for a second. Berserk's actually pretty damn great.
Another time out. Yeah.
Right after you. Time back in though. Yeah. So fuck yeah, my elitist anime and manga waifu is like totally better than your comics. What's with your selection of villains in Marvel?
I'm sorry. Did what? I'm sorry. What?
I lost track of the conversation. I was too busy like masturbating to like the holy altar of Berserk.
Oh my god! Yeah, no. Josh stands for jerk off super hard. God, you are the MODOK of that universe. Speaking of villains, though, I feel like comics has a very strong suit for its villains. Sorry. When you really look at that, when you really boil it down, some villains are more known than heroes. Like honest to God, like look at Batman's goddamn selection of villains. Most of those are like some of the most iconic villains of all time.
But Joker, I mean, can you name like a Wonder Woman villain?
I can, because I'm crazy. I was gonna say Ares, the god of war, who is also a villain, who is also like an anti-hero / villain in Marvel. Like Ares also happens to be there, but like Marvel also has Hercules as a character, like a Marvel hero, and he teams up and fights Thor sometimes. So, I Marvel's weird. There's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on, but in terms of villains are like, villains are like the strong suit. Like, yeah, sure, anime and manga might have like a couple like big name villains every now and then, but like look at the pantheon.
A couple.
Yeah, you guys only have a couple. You like what am I supposed to, I'm sorry, Lord Frieza. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to
you dare mention Lord Frieza's name in the same conversation as Tomodachi? You bastard.
like seriously though, like you got Doc Ock, Venom, Carnage. You have the goddamn Joker, Bane, Harley Quinn, Deadshot. Like, it doesn't help that everyone here kind of knows these names, because guess what? There's tons of movies based on these assholes. Like the villains are fun, and if they're not even fun, they look cool at the very least. That's the one thing I'll always give comics on top of anime.
I'm sorry to say, but you know, in the Avengers lineup, like, who are like really great villains aside from like Ultron, who was sort of like okay to me, I guess. His voice was great, but as a character, I don't really know if I found super duper interesting.
I'd say
or at least not as interesting as it could be.
In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's Loki. Loki's like the big one.
But it's like, and then who else? It's like,
I would argue that Thanos. Thanos is like,
but we've only seen like Thanos for like 5 minutes.
But he's an ever-present like threat. Also, I thought we were strictly talking about like the comics.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, dude, it's fine.
And unfortunately, I haven't read too much of the comics, so I don't have a good
yeah, no, you know what? Let's
appreciation for like how many strong villains there are running about.
Okay, I will say this much right now. Tell you what, real quick, you can totally use
like as a layperson, like from what I understand, I haven't seen very many, like, really strong villains coming out of the Marvel side of things. I know for a fact that DC has plenty of awesome villains, just because of the animated series back in the 90s.
I will say this. I will say this. The way that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has handled their villains, unfortunately, isn't the way that I would hope that they would do it. A lot of them are very villain of the movie kind of situations instead of having ongoing threats and stuff like that, like the comics do. There's villains that appear in like one comic and then will appear in a different series. They're aware in the comics. They're always aware of different things, of like different villains. So like Spider-Man always fights Doc Ock, right? Like that's a thing. But like sometimes the Doc Ock will appear alongside another set of villains, or like it's always interesting to see like how it all plays into one giant continuity. And like Loki's a strong villain in the comics so far as well, but like you also have like really interesting ones, like, well, not interesting, but like really intimidating ones like Thanos in the comics. You also have Cabal or the Cabal, I should say, which is the group of supervillains that are like galaxy, that they're like the Omega awesome bad guys. And then you have Venom and Carnage and all like these, like, you know what? Yeah, no, that's it. There's a lot more memorable villains if you read the comics, and I feel like a kind of one of the beauties of reading different series is picking up different villains. And yeah, there's tons of forgettable ones, but there's also tons of strong ones too. Sorry, air bubble. But yeah, so I mean, come on though. Lex Luthor though, Darkseid though, Apocalypse, Magneto.
I don't know. Like, I haven't been able to respect Lex Luthor since his piss has been a plot-relevant object in a movie.
Yeah, you know what? I meant more like animated series. Lex Luthor, my mind totally erased that Lex in my mind. For some reason.
It doesn't exist now. Making excuses for your medium.
Oh no. You know who else exists in your medium though? Do you remember? Do you remember the very classic anime villain of fucking? I couldn't think of it. I actually forgot because it's so forgettable.
Name the series.
Naruto.
We can work our way back.
The first villain in Naruto. The very first one. The guy with the white hair.
The guy who was like stealing the ninja scroll?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
That should have totally paralyzed Ikaruga.
Oh my god, yeah, no, that's so real.
Or was it Iruka Sensei?
Iruka.
Yeah, he should totally have been like paralyzed from the waist down. God damn it. Would have made it so much better.
You know, I will say this though. The thing that makes comics really fun is the fact that there's a giant continuity. In their universes and stuff like that. There's a giant continuity. Doctor Doom will appear in one story and appear in another. He's a constant threat because it's not separated into like one story universe, you know? Like, oh no, the Fantastic Four has to fight Doctor Doom, but Doctor Doom also shows up in this story because guess what? He's a supervillain and he has other things to do besides fight the Fantastic Four. What about you, man? Every single story is self-contained, and it just seems like all these problems, especially like your Slice of Life series, dude. Like, doesn't it just feel like these could easily take place in like a similar universe?
I mean, I don't know, man. I think the shared universe is actually a weakness of comics. Your waifu, she be bloated, man. She be carrying many, many more pounds than she needs to be.
Oh, dude, don't fat shame my waifu.
Oh, she's written
who's
she's shared
the real
by so many
now?
Authors. Oh, I admit it. I'm a terrible human being, but your waifu is fat.
Oh no! Hey.
Oh,
hey.
All these other people got their hands on her, making all these different storylines that you don't know about. What are you going to do? How do you control this and make it consistent?
There's just
comics were a mistake, as Miyazaki said.
there's just more of her to love. Two, they do think of this over time. Like, they have to get their stories approved, and it has to fit the continuity. Like, that's the beauty of the Marvel universe. Like, something that happens, if Tony Stark does something, that's a permanent part of that ongoing story, so writers then have to continue writing from those points, and each story thread has to get approved.
But you see, with manga, since everything is its own individual universe, you can just have it approved if, you write a good story. You don't have to send it through a boardroom.
Not to mention, there is so many multiverses there was so many multiverses.
Oh, well, let me know how that turned out after they all collapsed or something.
Yeah, I actually will. It's actually pretty cool. It's a really interesting thing. We'll talk about it after our fake argument. After our fake non-argument that's slowly but surely falling apart.
We'll make a special timeout Pocket Dimension where we'll talk about this stuff civilly. For right now, we have to be at each other's throats, and your waifu is shit.
No, yours is actual shit though. If anything, your waifu is the most pandering bullshit I've ever seen. I will be the first to admit, yeah, sure. At first glance, your waifu is a pretty good looking person. Pretty attractive individual. But then you start noticing just how garbage every other aspect of her personality is. It's so pandering.
Those are called quirks. And that's what makes her lovely.
First of all, a Yukiko laugh does not make anyone lovely.
So, the Ojo-sama laugh is totally the best laugh?
No.
The 1990s will prove that. I can send you to a YouTube channel called Ojo-sama.
That sounds like the worst. That actually sounds like the absolute worst.
You know what this anime fucking centric YouTube channel does? It compiles all the laughs.
Why would anyone do that? What?
Because it's the best.
It's so garbage. Having a unique laugh is not a character or personality trait. You do not develop a personality off of a single laugh. That's not how that works. If that's the case, then every character in One Piece is an amazing three-dimensional character.
Oh, they've got such vibrato, and it comes from the bottom of your stomach.
Oh my god.
But no, it's I will say, I'll be the first to admit that anime and manga has its problems. It's a lot of writers are sort of lazy and, write this sort of checklist type story where it's, so let's see, we're setting it in high school because I don't have any other life experiences to draw from. Let's see, so what do I remember from high school since I, quit it 2 years ago? Cultural festivals, school clubs that I never actually went to because I was, I went home every day. First love and fireworks and summer festivals and vacations and summer homework and stuff.
Yeah, vacations to a hot spring. It's every single time. Honest to God. Okay, you know what? As much as I love Persona 4, that followed it to a T. That. I know that's what made the experience.
It's a lot of stuff made for people in that age group and maybe far older are sort of really typical, but at the same time, there is more than that out there, and there always has been. It's not beholden to any particular brand where, if you look hard enough, especially in manga, which is the focus here, versus anime, the print on page stuff is so much faster. I read a series with a fucking T-Rex detective in a world full of furries that has to deal with some like evil like witch messing up like alternate reality Chicago or whatever. And there's one about Area 51 with like a whole bunch of cryptids running around, enough to like make Gravity Falls like super jealous. God. And then there are like hard-boiled like detective like dramas in the same vein as like, you know, like your typical noir films out there everywhere.
But I will say this much though, when it comes, especially with what I've been reading on Marvel Unlimited, like that's the exact same argument there too. Though there is a wonderful short noir story that deals with like a Punisher in like the 1940s, and like it starts in the 1920s and eventually goes into like the 1940s and such I should say, and like. It's an awesome take on the Punisher in this like really like in this detective noir kind of situation with actual surprising turns, and like it's actually pretty cool. There's a great little horror story that talks about Carnage, you know, and Carnage being like this like monster version of like even like an evil serial killer gains the Venom symbiote, right? Or symbiote. And like becomes instead of becoming Venom, he becomes Carnage, and Carnage is this like everything's a blade Carnage. He's just this giant scary, or not giant, but he's like a thin scary version of Venom, and it's actually really cool to read. And like the cover art's like really horror inducing. Honestly, it reminds you of like old 1970s like horror film posters and stuff, where it's like has like a lot of artistic integrity. Like. There's a lot of, I mean, yeah, manga has tons of different stories, like, every now and then, but, like, the majority of the popular ones do follow those tropes, and I will be the first to say that, yeah, some comics also follow that rule, but most of the time I notice that, like, people are really interested in reading different stories, like, different ideas, and yeah, sometimes they follow the same characters in like, you know, their continuity, but there's different takes on what those characters can go through. Sometimes it's an adventure. Sometimes it's a really dark story. Sometimes it's a love story. It just depends on what the writer wants to do with those characters. And I think that's what makes it the most interesting thing. I know that, like, it can be convoluted and it can be a bit out there. But, like, recently they did this thing called Secret Wars, which kind of removed the idea of a lot of these alternate universes and essentially made it so that there's only one universe now. And in this one universe, there's still tons of cool shit happening. There's still, like, you still have your awesome, you know, party superhero or traditional party superhero with Spider-Man. You also have Tony Stark going through emotional demons and stuff like that. You also have Carnage, you know, real like apparently being like part of a prophecy to like for like this ancient magic bullshit. And at the same time you have Miss Marvel in New Jersey City learning how to be a superhero and also balancing, you know, what it takes to be a superhero. Like I know that from like an outsider's perspective, like sure, it was the most intimidating thing for me to get into this, but recently they have taken strides to make it this really nice cohesive piece where you can just pick your perspective and you follow that story and you see where it goes. There's tons of awesome stories out there. There's one where there's a duck detective called Howard the Duck.
Oh man, I thought Howard the Duck was like infamous for being like a shitty series.
I wouldn't say that he himself is shitty. I'd say that like the movie that George Lucas had a hand on is shitty.
Wait, so George Lucas made like a Marvel film?
I believe so, yes. I'm more than certain that he put his hand inside of the Howard the Duck the Howard the Duck property.
Oh. He put his hand inside of Howard the Duck. I see. That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. It's real bad. It's real bad. Josh.
Tell me, Marvel, where did George Lucas touch your property?
No. Stop.
Show us on the doll.
Stop. I as your boss, I am telling you to stop this joke right now.
Okay. But, I mean, it's like... But why superheroes? Like, there are so many stories to tell, and it seems like, yes, there is a lot of diversity, but at the same time, why does it have to be superheroes? Like, yeah, it's possible to write, like, for comics to handle other things, but all I seem to see is a whole bunch of superhero stuff in, like, the mainstream.
I will say this, for the mainstream, yes. Because it's mainly because that's what a lot of people like to read. Hell, that's what I like to read. But it's not just the assuming another identity story, that kind of stuff. Ideally, superhero when it comes to comics, it refers to like just the protagonist, you know. You don't, and it's not always someone who has superpowers. Sometimes it's just a normal ass dude who has to train really hard to like make it in the world. Like, that's just how it is. A lot, if anything, I would call a superhero, like, superhero is a term that references if it references the protagonist, then a superhero story is something that is an adventure. Every single superhero story seems to be like this adventure about something, right? And sure, in manga you have more slice of life material going on, but that's what Archie's for, Josh.
What is for?
Archie. Don't you know what Archie is?
Now, I was going to argue that fact. But, I mean, let's put it this way. So, I mean, from what I know, there is a lot going on in, like, the graphic novel medium that's not comics, but all I seem to see are comics.
Well, I think it's...
And is that like, sort of bad? Isn't that bad for your waifu?
I don't know. In the world,
sort of feed off of herself?
I don't know.
Your waifu is fat and a cannibal.
Why are you so mean? Why are you so mean? Like this is not like you. I would hope that you wouldn't tell a person this. Like I know we're joking for like the sake of like a garbage joke that we keep destroying throughout this entire recording session. But
now you're supposed to, repost back and rebut me and tell me why my waifu is trash.
My rebuttal is, wow, you're a really mean person, Josh.
Oh, that's too real. Oh, God.
No,
I said things I can't take back anymore.
Yeah, no.
There are different peoples on the other side of this Velvet Talk, Mitchell.
The argument ends, and with me just being like, wow, you have some growing up to do, buddy. Like, that's just how it ends.
Oh, no. I've turned into one of those.
Okay, I will argue this. Okay, the reason why in comics you see a lot of superheroes is because the two big ones out there are Marvel and DC as publishers. Everyone knows that, right? But a lot of people don't know that there's also Dark Horse. A lot of people don't know that there's other comic book publishers out there. I mean, for Christ's sake, Scott Pilgrim's a comic book. Like, it's one of my favorite comic books. Seconds is another Brian Lee O'Malley, like, masterpiece. Seconds is another fantastic book, and it has nothing to do with superheroes. It's just a fantastic read. The reason you keep seeing superheroes everywhere is because Marvel and DC do have these giant universes and giant continuities. But the truth of the matter is not all comics follow this rule. Hell, I'm pretty sure Hellboy just kind of does his own thing, and there's no, like, maybe every now and then there's crossover, but it's not like...
So time out. Fucking, we have to do a talk about Hellboy.
Yeah? Okay, what's up with Hellboy?
Huh? No, it's just fucking Hellboy's great.
Yeah, Hellboy is fantastic.
God damn it. I mean, I'm actually just using this timeout to, like, geek out about Hellboy, but fuck. Hellboy was so good. It was like the first actually good like comic book adaptation. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, it like that, and that's the thing, right? Like
people don't give it enough credit for like being like fucking great.
Well, a big part of that is because it's not part of the Marvel or DC universe. See, one of the things I will be glad to admit is a giant fault with the comics in general, is the fact that these two titans seem to have like created a competitive monopoly between each other, right? I mean, sure, there's other comics that get published out there, but unless they have Marvel or DC's names slapped on there, a lot of people aren't gonna care. And that's problematic.
I mean, that's probably one of the problems with the universes that they stand, too. Even with, like, Miss Marvel getting made, like, it'll still be problematic to introduce more diversity because there is such a large cast of incumbent characters already that are just, like, white old guys. Like,
well,
and people want to read about, you know, Tony Stark and, like, Buck Rogers because, you know, they're the title characters. You want to read about them.
Okay, there's this whole thing that's going on in comics right now where the argument is, okay, so I'm not sure, spoilers-ish for something that's going on in the comics. Tony isn't Iron Man anymore. He is currently out of commission. He's in a coma. And so someone else has taken the mantle Iron Man. It's a black teenager named Riri. Riri is Ironheart. She flies around, has a cool blade and everything, and that's what makes her cool.
And she has like a huge hammer, and then like whenever she gets like 100% ult charge, she like goes hammer down. And then the rest of the superheroes come in and like kill all the villains. And
but
what are you talking about? That's not how it goes.
Yeah, no, you got it right as rain. God, he is just Iron Man. but okay, so there's Riri, who's Ironheart, right? And then there's Miss Marvel, who is Kamala Khan, and then there's Lady Thor, who is Jane Foster, who's just called Thor. I don't know why I said Lady Thor, but yeah, there's Thor. So like you have a new diverse cast of characters, and people are upset right now. The problem is people are misinterpreting why people are upset. People say like, oh, the comic book sales are down because, you know, or comic books are not doing so hot because because they're not white people anymore. And the truth of the matter is, it's like, I don't think that's it. I think it's the fact that the old characters are gone now. The characters you built 50 years of, like, character are gone.
Well, I mean, it's like, that's the problem. It's like, a lot of these people really like these characters that existed.
Of course.
And the problem is that you're never going to get rid of them. And there's only so much room in the public consciousness to contain these characters, I guess.
But to defend the decision, though, I will say Marvel handled it really well. So, like, not only did they promote this kind of diversity in their cast, but they also made it so that it's not like Miss Marvel doesn't exist anymore. The old Miss Marvel became Captain Marvel and is a super cool badass. Tony Stark, even though he's in a coma right now, he is the AI for Ironheart. Like, it's awesome. He's his own Jarvis, or he's her Jarvis now. And even if you don't like Ironheart, there is another Iron Man going around, and it's Dr. fucking Doom as the infamous Iron Man. And that's a whole nother awesome, cool thing going on right now. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. Like, Thor is still Thor. He just can't wield Mjolnir anymore. And he's learning to live with that, and he's learning how to become a strong warrior on his own again. Like, it's really great, actually. It's not like they're gone. I feel like people are overreacting to this. It's not that they're gone. It's the fact. It's just like there's a new generation of heroes coming.
I mean, like, what I'm getting at is, like, there is this really big push for diversity right now, and it's a good thing. But at the same time, eventually there will be a slight rollback where, you know, you do bring back some of those older characters back into the fold, and I don't think that will ever reach that point where we have, like, complete, like, representation in comic books. Acceptable amounts.
I would say that it's a giant uphill battle, but I don't see it as being impossible. Miles Morales has been Spider-Man for a long time now. Like, he has been he is an accepted Spider-Man in the continuity. Like, Parker is also Spider-Man, but Miles is also Spider-Man.
But I mean, you're always going to have this like push and pull where it's like, you know, you'll always have like the flagship character sort of be like one of the big, huge, important characters still in there, sometimes even as like an active superhero, alongside these new characters that are supposedly supposed to like replace them. And it feels like, you know, at the end of the day, would it not be better to just have a full-on just like reboot or a dismantling of this like situation? Is it just a little bit too much baggage that you're pulling forward? Let's see.
Oh shit!
Oop. There we go.
In my hair.
Yep.
Oh my god!
For a moment, like you sort of just like disappeared, and like I couldn't hear you at all.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. We need to cut. We need to cut this part out. Essentially, what boils down to is I'm using my phone, and I wasn't expecting to get a call this late at night, and of course I got one. So I don't even remember where we were in our argument.
Well, I was just, you know, winning the argument hardcore.
No, you weren't. Okay, look, because no matter what you say about diversity in the Marvel universe and how the fight is going to be to get that, like, to get an equalized sense of diversity, what's the diversity in manga? Come on, Josh. What's
diversity in manga? Oh,
yeah,
asking the important questions.
Are we
jumping right back in?
Oh my god, yeah, no, we're jumping straight back in, so
what
shit,
is it? You're not even giving me, like, a chance to rest in the, at the ringside.
No. Fuck. Hey, tell me about your diversity, though. Tell me
intermissions. Shit.
Tell me about how in the last, like, do me a huge favor and express to me how there hasn't been any horrible stereotypes in anime and manga.
Oh, horrible stereotypes in anime and manga. Oh, I couldn't even mention one because I can't think of a single one. I'm lying.
Oh my god! Don't. Oh, oh man, are you telling me? Are you telling me that, like, essentially, like,
the world of manga and anime is perfect socially. No, it's not.
You're like looking at your waifu, and your waifu is like holding a lit match, and
just imagine like the pink-haired girl from Future Diary, like right behind me. Like, that's how it is.
And if you drop this match though, if you drop this match in this room full of oil, everything's just gonna explode.
Oh yeah, you can smell the fumes. It's like so many parts per million in the air that, like, you know, you sort of shake to even, like, flip the lighter because it might just light.
Tell me about your xenophobic country that creates your media.
Oh, no, the Japanese are totally open to, like, new experiences and other people and immigration and totally don't think or aren't racist like everybody else ever in all existence.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I mean, it exhibits all the problems of a medium being dominated by a single people, which, you know, I think is probably a similar place that comics is at, or was at, or is trying to fix, which is, it's probably going to take a while to diversify, if ever. Maybe it's just the Japanese will die off before anything like that ever happens. So who knows?
the entire Japanese population.
Yeah, the entire Japanese people will stop having children. Like, I mean, they already have, but and then they'll just like age out of existence, and Japan will just be a ghost town.
God.
Dear God. I mean, like, I've been reading plenty of like apocalypse manga, and this is certainly not one. One of the endgame scenarios that they've had in there.
Jesus, tap dancing Christ, dude. But
you know, I mean, what? There are glowing, like, there are examples of series that have bucked the trend, and there are, especially among people who write manga, more chances to see that because you don't have to appeal to like a Japanese audience, especially since, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, a late night anime or something where it's like, oh, well, we're basically marketing specifically and only to otaku. You can market manga to a lot broader demographic of people.
You know, I will give you one. In one of the new series that's out this anime season, Fuka, there is an openly gay character in that series, and they're not treated like a stereotype, and they're it's just a regular thing for them, and that character happens to be one of my favorite characters in that series, and it is a nice change of pace because in Japan, like not even on like the racial diversity thing, like just in diversity in general, it does seem to be very like one-sided, but every now and then you do get these champion characters. It feels, and like it does work out like tremendously. So, you know,
there's that old adage that Japan's like 10 years ahead of us in technology and probably like 10 or 20 years behind us in like social matters, and I think it holds true generally.
Oh jeez, man. But anyways, we've been going
for
on
most
for about
of Asia.
like an hour. We've been like almost an hour now. Well, we got to cut out that part, but essentially we've been going on for a bit. So I think at the end of the day, we can both kind of agree that, like, listen, it's kind of pointless to argue whether or not anime or manga, like, or not anime and manga, if comics, Marvel and manga, right? It's kind of pointless to argue it because essentially it is just kind of, there are incredibly similar art forms, if not the same art form.
I mean, it's the same medium, and it should just be judged based on whether or not it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day.
Like, and it has its differences, and honestly, I know that we were joking to, like, make this an argument and stuff, but, like, it was a good conversation for what it's worth. Like it was a fun conversation. Just
like, both mediums will have their problems based on, like, the culture they're made for. But that doesn't mean that neither are, like, worth giving a read.
Exactly.
Well,
granted,
that said, my wife was still told the best. Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
But if you don't want to be, like, a shitty weeb like me, totally be widely read and, like, try everything. Because nobody wants to be a weeb like Josh.
That's like the weirdest, like, endorsement to read everything, like, I've ever heard.
I mean, you don't want to turn out like me, kids.
Oh man. Well, I'll tell you this much right now. Hey, I know this kind of was like a mess and all over the place, but if you liked this video, be sure to hit the like, and if you really enjoyed this video and want to see more content from our channel, hit the subscribe button down below. Also, real quick, if you are someone who wants to get into manga, there's some really great manga apps through Crunchyroll. They have tons and tons of, like, really good series. I know they have Fairy Tail running right now. They had Fuka for a bit.
A lot of manga is, like, grab baggy, which is like, there's no real consolidated place to find a lot of it. So it will be a little, like, these resources like Crunchyroll are a great place to start. They have some really solid series running on there.
Oh, absolutely. And also, if you wanted to get more into comics, specifically Marvel, I keep pushing Marvel Unlimited. It's a $10 a month. You get access to over 11,000 comics, and they're constantly adding more series and everything. And it's a great service.
And and if you don't like digital and you're one of those, like, Luddites like me and who likes having a physical copy, check out your local bookstores. Surprisingly, a lot of them will have okay selections, sort of selections of, like, the big, like, tankobons of manga, and usually, like, have compendiums of, like, large storylines for, a whole bunch of comics. Some less than others, but it's like they do exist out there.
Alright, guys, well, I think that pretty much sums up this episode of the Velvet Cast, and be sure to tune in next week. Hopefully we'll get Sora back on the show and we can do more cool stuff then. And also, real quick, I saw that you guys are addressing the fact that we didn't go over the questions and stuff for this week. I saw what you guys asked, and honestly, I think having Sora here would be awesome for that. So I'm really sorry. I know that I kind of pushed the idea of you guys giving me questions, but yeah. So sorry, guys. Next week we'll do the Q&A. I feel, or at least we'll answer some of them. So yeah. Next time on The Velvet Room.
Whoa.
Take it easy, guys.
It's my babies.